The issue of the fuel situation, the fuel hike, the fuel scarcity has been on the lips of, a lot of Nigerians as at this morning, we're still having the ripple effect, being seen all over the country as regards it. Good morning and welcome. My name is Nwoluwapo Stevens, and today we're going to be looking at the fuel hike situation. But this time around, we're moving and shifting our conversation and attention over to the effect it has at the moment as regards the cost of living right here in Nigeria. And, in the news, we've been seeing different political parties, different analysts and, amazing personalities react to the situation on ground as we speak in the country. And one of which is the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. Well, he has condemned the plans by the federal government to increase the value-added tax, that's VAT. In a statement yesterday via his X handle, Atiku said the policy would deepen the domestic cost of living crisis, which we're already seeing now in Nigeria. Well, he said, and I quote, that President Bola Tinubu, alongside his advisors, has resolved to raise the VAT rate from 7.5% to 10%. Now, even as the NNPCL has announced a soaring PMS price increase at the pump. Away from Atiku, Serap has responded already. And also the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited already, has something to say as regards the situation as it is unfolding. And we're going to be dissecting it this morning right here in the studio. Well, joining me now to do justice to this conversation is Dr. Fidelis Ayemoba. He is a public analyst, and he will be talking some more as regards it. Good morning and welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm very fine. I want to say hello to all our audience. Thank you for this watching ITV.
Amazing. So, the last time you bought fuel, I'd love to start it this way. How much did you buy it?
The last time I bought for, I think, 920. Yes, in Lagos.
920 in Lagos State.
Yes.
And now, mind you, in some parts of the country, we're seeing fuel being sold for 1,200, 1,001 and the like. So tell us what has been your view, as regards to this whole situation since it started?
Yeah, my view about this whole thing is that it's killing. It's killing. I don't want to speak from a vantage perspective. I want to speak from a public analyst perspective, as somebody who has in touch with a lot of people by virtue of many things I do, that it's disastrous.
It is disastrous indeed. Okay, so let's talk about the effects it has been having on Nigerians over time, especially in Lagos. Can you give us a general, overview of how it has been for Lagosians, especially since the kickstart again of this fuel situation?
It's been terrible. The level of hunger, poverty is touchable and palpable. Like, for example, I was driving through the road and somebody raised up a placard, a beggar seated, and said, all I need is food and church clothes. It's terrible. That at this point, if you may be shocked that your dustbin, your refuse dump, is an attraction to certain people. So the thing you even seems to throw away that is supposed to go, some people go there to go and survive. It's bad. And the earlier we begin to think in line with this, providing solution, the better for every one of us.
Yes, indeed. Before we even talk about the solutions, and all, over time we've heard a lot of persons come out to say it seems like the politicians and the federal government are really not in touch with Nigerians as regards to what is going on at the moment, what Nigerians are facing and all of that. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, obviously the government in the news keep telling us everything they are doing. But the truth is that I think the government is not directly in touch with the people. Like, for example, I commend my governor, His Excellency Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, for the palliative measure it tries to take on subsidizing transportation for people. That's being in touch with the people. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. When you try to say, okay, workers should come some days of the week, it's trying to be in touch with the people. When you try to say, okay, work from home, it's trying to put into consideration, since I cannot pay you to come to work every day, I will make you do the same job from home. It's trying to be considerate about the people. But in the bigger picture of governance, I can say, yes, we're hearing it, but the truth is that you can't increase prices in certain areas and then you say you are in touch with the people. It's not possible. The moment you increase custom duty, you are not affecting. The earlier the government realized that there is no businessman, no investor that is a victim here. The victims are the people. Because the moment you increase anything, the businessman will always make his profit. And how does he make his profit? He adjusts the price to suit the commodity he has to sell. So who becomes the victim? The victim are the people, the masses. So for every time you do an increase, you're not affecting the airliner. No, the airliner increases his ticket. Then those same citizens who will fly will pay for everything. So we should, earlier we sit down and understand. The other time I learned, the government said they give a 30 days ultimatum. I don't know how true that traders should crash prices. I never saw it coming, and I don't think it worked. Because you can't increase the cost of getting it and you tell someone to increase the cost of selling it. No, it's not possible. If the government can, this same claim of we need more money to do infrastructure, to do this one, the first infrastructure now is stomach infrastructure program, not road. Road is good, but let the people, can dead bodies drive on the road?
Absolutely not. Now, speaking about the people, as you have mentioned, I know we're having a conversation the other time, and then we're talking about the fact that it's not just the federal government alone or the government, the persons in power that are part of this whole situation in the country. So how has the masses, and the people, you and I, contributed in all of this?
The truth is that the government cannot be owed ahead. I mean, we can't blame the government alone for this whole thing.
But they have the upper hand, though. Let's
Yes.
not forget that.
No, I'm not. We're not disposing that
Right.
fact. But the thing is that we are in a system where dog eats dog. What do I mean by dog eats dog? Is that even we who are not in government, we so much amplify. Let's say, for example, just because a man wants to sell his old product for a new price, it creates what they call artificial scarcity, not considering the pain of the people. I don't know if I'm saying something, because basically, if we consider ourselves, then there are many solutions that we'll provide. So the government has its problem. Then we who are relatively privileged, we also have our problem. We should create an avenue where I often say to people, your waste today has become another person's testimony. Let's create an avenue where we all can reach each other. Because if we keep waiting for the government, we're going to have many casualties, as it were. So let everybody become an helper indeed.
Becoming an helper indeed. Before we even talk about how Nigerians can help and, the solution, on Saturday precisely, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that's the NNPCL, said there is no guarantee of lower prices as it is set to begin to lift, petrol from the Dangote refinery. Well, NNPCL reportedly, said it will commence lifting the petrol precisely on the 15th of September. That's this month. And, the part that even got my attention was when the spokesperson Olufemi Sonye said the company said the pricing of petroleum products from any refinery, including Dangote Refinery Limited, is determined by global market forces. That's what he said. How would you react to that? And how do you think Nigerians, would actually react to this, considering the fact that we've been anchoring and waiting for the Dangote Refinery, and some persons at some point felt it's like the savior we've been waiting for to help take us off this, shackles and this drama of the fuel situation. What do you think?
If you tell me that the reason for the situation is because of the cost of transportation, the cost of clearing exchange rate of the dollar, and right now we are going to be, I have the food, the harvest is from my garden, and my garden is behind my house, and the kitchen is just few steps away from the garden, and then I get the fruit or the food from my farm behind my house, and I don't have to pay transportation to bring it into my kitchen, and then I end up cooking it in my kitchen, and the cost of any other thing I'm buying to make it work is going to be traded in my local currency. Then I think it's supposed to affect the market. So if anybody says that even the coming on board of Dangote will not reduce the price because it's regulated by international market, to hell with international market. We cannot live by the policies of others and die in hunger in our country. We have the raw material. Now we have the refinery. Then what are we talking about here? Exchange rate is no longer the problem. It's the only reason why anybody will want to continue to respect the international regulators is because we still want to do business in international waters. If Nigeria has enough population to buy whatever barrels we produce per day, then let us do what we do. Recycle it, bring it from our refineries, put it back to us. We pay you the money, take it back to your refineries. Except there is something you want to gain extra that wants to go out of the market.
So now, have you noticed any change in, prices and cost of food away from transportation, which I know is like the major source of all of this, where persons tend to face more problems? On the aspect of food, do you think Nigerians have, seen an increase over time?
Yes.
Okay.
If anybody tells you that things are still normal, the person is abnormal. Because I went to the market myself for almost some time ago, not too long, and I got a tuber of yam for almost 10,000 naira.
You went to the market?
One wretched looking tuber of yam.
Well, you said you went to the market.
I went to the market. I drove to the market.
You just made me remember, a certain person say that right now, husbands now go to the market to tend to see the situation.
I went to the market. It's not just because I'm husband.
Yes.
What happened is presently life has put me in a position where I had to approach certain things practically.
Okay.
So I can help those I can help. I like to counsel people authentically, and I had the feel of it. You see, some of us, we don't really feel it. Because if you are in an office that takes care of everything about you, you don't feel what people feel. And this is what they do in power. I was a student union government president, and I know when people don't get to power and they don't want to leave power. Because as a union president, the small benefit that comes with that office, I can tell you categorically, I wake up in the morning, there's a driver waiting for me, there's an official car, the driver feeds the car, the management fuels the car, this happens and this happens. And you get what I'm saying? Such a person does not know what happens over there. You don't know what happens in the queue. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the truth is that prices of food is going according to fuel price increase. As the fuel price goes up, everything goes up. You know why? Because that takes me back to the question you asked me. Because even the problem is not just the government. The problem is that even the man who does not go to the market afar claims that fuel pump is the problem why the food goes up. So everybody, dog is eating dog everywhere. So victims, this is why I keep praying for civil servants who don't have an alternative source of income. Because the government is struggling to increase their minimum wage and excitedly increasing the cost of living for them. So how do they cope? What 10 naira used to pursue right now, are you aware that 100,000, 1 million is useless? God, please forgive me. Useless. You hold it, at the end of it all, show me what you've been able to achieve with it. It's as good as nothing. So it's cost of living is increasing as fuel is increasing. So they should know that the remote control now that food, everything is come to be.
Interesting. It's like a chain, you know, going round circles. So once it starts with the fuel situation, all other sectors in the economy, you know, is actually affected by it. So let's talk about business and how, you know, especially for SMEs, you know, in this period where it didn't even start today. I feel this whole situation started, you know, last year, May precisely, when the president came out to say fuel subsidy, you know, is gone, and all of those things just started going down the drains and all. But for SMEs, how have you been coping? How have, you know, the common Nigerian SME been coping with all of this going on? How has it affected businesses in the country?
You see, removing subsidy was not a bad idea. It was good. But for me, if you go to a restaurant to eat, while you're waiting for the main meal, they bring you appetizers, some things to keep you going. We should understand that, yes, I've heard claims that it is the accumulated decay over time that we are suffering right now. But the truth is that we will not die before some things are put to bear. And this is where, for me, I feel privatization and removing of subsidy without adequate provision is like the act of an irresponsible father or irresponsible husband. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it's affecting small scale, medium investment or otherwise. But the truth is that it's the one who chooses to be affected that will be affected.
What do you mean by that?
No businessman is supposed to be a victim. Or not supposed, no businessman is a victim. Because whatever you sell is, the market is controlled by the cost of your purchase will culminate into the cost of your selling. Now it will affect, okay, the effect will come in this area. Because when people don't have the means to get it, then your supposed business is like a display show glass. You see them, you dust it today till tomorrow and otherwise. So when people can buy, businesses cannot revolve. When there's no money in the system, there will be no revolving. But basically, whatever a businessman does, the victims, I want the government, one word I want to say here is that in all this, not the politician, not the businessman, not the investor, the victim is the people. And in these people is civil servants who live on salary. Because it's not funny.
Because, I mean, salary is really never enough.
No, it's not enough.
And then the other time we saw NLC coming out to say they feel cheated over the fact that the federal government, and then the plan was you would have the 70,000 naira minimum wage agreement, and then you would not increase fuel, and then boom, voila, all of this happened. How would you react to the part of the NLC and TUC in all of this?
The leadership of the NLC and TUC should first understand who they are dealing with. They should understand the stakes at stake. They should understand the system. They should understand the personalities involved, and then they can know what to do. And that they themselves should be completely sincere with themselves.
Okay. So speaking about knowing what to do, I remember during the course of the conversation, you said something as regards the fuel, removal and how it was done. What do you think the federal government ought to have done to help mitigate some of the, ripple effect Nigerians are facing at this point?
For me, I feel if there is a cabal acclaimed to be involved in all the wrongdoings and illegal operations of fuel subsidy. In dealing with the cabal, the masses should not be the victims. One of the things is that we should be able to be bold enough to spot those who are causing the problem. A few individuals cannot hold the country hostage. Those few individuals should be addressed, and then ITATO look for a means to cushion the effect. Because even the palliative, which I commend the federal government for attempting to do, is not getting down to the people. Because first, Nigeria need to go what I call data analysis. Understand the people you're dealing with. The way you have ghost workers in civil service. So you have so many structures that claim to be reaching out to people, and these are not being reached. The last administration claimed to have spent so much billions feeding school children and sending money to people for palliative measures. Who are the people? At least I'm surrounded by a lot of, what word will I use for them? A lot of people who need help. And I've never seen them get help. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Right. Let's talk about the palliative before we move over to the school children, because I mean, news has it that today being Monday, in some parts of the state and in the country, we're getting to see some students going back to school. Before we talk about how it's going to affect them and also the parents as well, the palliative you mentioned, do you think it's really working in the light it ought to work? With every little thing we tend to see the federal government come out to say, you know what, we're having palliative of rice, let's give you rice to solve the problem. Is that really the solution, to all of this, especially with this fuel scarcity and hike?
You see, the palliative is not a bad idea because people are hungry and they need to eat and they cannot afford to get.
So you're saying rice would solve everything every time? Rice?
No. What I mean is that one, see, the people need strength.
Okay.
Yes, right now, the people, why I support the palliative in terms of the rice is that people are hungry and they need to eat. Yesterday I was in church and I just made up my mind. I just felt like, and I said, okay, all the youth in church, almost all the youth, I said, I'm taking you to the nearby shopping mall. And I took them to a supermarket and I told them, shop to the tune of this amount. Now I have 4 children. I have 3 and 1 adopted, 2 boys and a girl, and 2 girls. I can tell you, I personally, at times when they were around, I go buy them sanitary pads. When they took these people out to the shopping mall, you see young ladies who were going to pick their sanitary pads, some speaking toothpaste, some speaking this and this. So you could tell that certain ladies are looking for an alternative to how they can keep themselves clean. Some are looking for a way to brush their teeth. I think some people must be falling back to chewing stick right now. So you see them picking toothpaste, picking toothbrush, because somebody gave them an opportunity. In this country now, 1,000 is big.
1,000 naira big.
Big for some people.
Okay.
Very big. Yes.
So it's that bad?
Oh, God.
It is that bad. And I remember you also said 100K right now, it's nothing. A million naira right now, it's nothing. And I also feel that 100,000 naira right now looks like it's equivalent to 10,000 naira, you know.
Yes, I'm speaking from the vantage perspective, what you've achieved with it. But you see that 10,000, that 100,000, it's like a billion to a people who are suffering. Please, nobody should think that what you want to give to somebody is too small, because there's even corporate begging now.
Oh my God, there's a whole lot of things to talk about as regards this, fuel situation, the fuel hike, and how Nigerians have been experiencing and going through it. I feel, just as I said the other time, it started from last year when we saw this new administration come on board, remove the fuel subsidy. A lot of persons have questioned how it was removed and if any preparation was put down, for a common man to thrive and survive in the country. And right now, we've been seeing ripple effects as regards to it. And there are also speculations that it might get worse. first, Nigerians, what is the way forward? Fuel hike, fuel scarcity, cost of living gone up, affecting the living, and plenty other things happening right now in the country. Let's not also forget the political space as well is there, as the countdown is on to, the governorship election in Edo and Ondo State. But away from that, how have you been coping with everything that has been going on, in the country? Right here in Lagos, we tend to see not many persons on the road, cars been reduced, transportation pretty expensive. Right now, you have to think twice before making that move. And, also the fact that today is Monday and a lot of children will be returning back to school. I did see something as regards Edo State government saying, the resumption for school children has been suspended for a while now. But let's not also forget that in some part of the country as well, a lot of persons will be going back to school. Parents, how have you been, have you been making preparations down? What's the effect it's going to have on school children in the education sector and all? Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We're still talking about the fuel hike price and everything in between. My guest is still seated with me right here in the studio, Dr. Fidelis Aye Moba. Thank you for being here again still.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now let's talk about the effect it's going to have on school children, education, especially the parent as well, who will be feeling more of the brunt because you have to right now think of school fees, you have to get certain things on, and also the fact that every morning you have to move your child to school and all. How is it going to be this time around?
Basically, I think the government should pay attention to um, authenticating our public schools, having to revisit matters in our public schools. I will always commend my governor, the Lagos State governor, for his effort in many things. Um, and I can say categorically, when the public schools are sound, like, do you know that you go to general hospitals in Lagos, you'll be excited at the services they provide relatively. They may not be perfect, but they are competing with them. And if that happens, and it's cheap, I've had people go to general hospital. People don't know that there's quality service in the general hospitals. And so that helps the poor to enjoy government's provision. Until government steps up their infrastructure, the public schools, and then can give subsidize in terms of books, in terms of school fees, they will be affecting the poor. They must relatively let those who have it go to private, and let those who are believing God to have it have a beautiful setting in government provide parastatals. So going back to school right now is going to be biting for a lot of parents, because first, some children will have to learn to use kurukpe and kwekenape, even in their privileged state. Because if your dad has a car, and if the queue can't allow your dad to get fare, then Uber, which is another part, we have to take them to school. So basically, it's going to bite on every side. The earlier we realize the availability of the product is a plus, the pricing of the product is unique, so that the poor will not keep getting poorer, because the rich are already rich. If they buy that fear, by virtue of what they do, they will transfer that pain or the whatever to the poor, who will always pay for their services or their goods.
Now, do you think this time around in the education sector, especially with parents, do you think we're going to be seeing some parents take their children out of the school and put them in another school, to help just cushion the effect it's going to have on them and on the family?
Yes, the truth of the issue is, I think I'll follow that line of counsel. If you discover that what you have cannot provide what you need, then you have to think on, you have to improvise. And if improvising is to take them to somewhere relatively okay, then you take that decision for your head's sake, for your safety, because we can't be suffering and smiling. Nobody, you are not impressing anybody. You understand me? And one of the things they must understand is that not all the schools with big names and big tuition fee has what it takes that these other schools who don't have uh, does not have to offer. So let them think quickly. Let there be an adjustment. People can be safe.
Speaking about adjustments and all, I feel like you've answered the next question, though. Well, let's talk about the lifestyle of a common or an average Nigerian as regards this whole situation on board and how it has been unfolding over time. Do you think now is the time to make some certain changes and sacrifices, with the way you were living before? Maybe there are some things that a person needs to adjust and all, just to help out cushion the effects.
Strongly to survive now, that's why we not. One word should be loud everywhere. It's adjustment. Everybody had to adjust. Don't add anybody to sew their coat according to their size anymore. Because for my size, my material required is more. So I want them to sew their according to their materials, not according to their size. There are sometimes you see people wear long sleeves, some wear three quarters, some wear short sleeves. Some people wear handless, according to your material. So whatever you have right now, you have to sit on the table and plan it, break it into whatever, and then make sure that your mental health is not affected with this whole situation, because we'll be shocked that we have a lot of madmen around now because of this situation. It's affecting mental health because parents are not thinking well. If you go back to medical session now and find out the level of high blood pressure right now is very high. So very soon we'll be managing stroke everywhere, managing people dying suddenly because it's killing, it's killing, it's killing.
Speaking about managing stroke and and everything, just recently, our president was in China and he said so many things. He said, if you go back to your country, which is Nigeria right now, you see that there are plenty reforms and changes going on, a lot of things, the hardship and all. But there was something he said that got my attention was where he's more concerned with the leadership, part of the whole thing. How do you take that really?
The president, yes, I don't want to believe that His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, haven't been through many things, will not want to retire from politics because this is the height of it all. Leaving the legacy, as he has always celebrated the great Awo. Yes, I don't want to believe. But one of the things you must understand is that the president cannot be in the kitchen, so he must be careful who is the cook. Yeah, because one as a man is to make the provision. If you have a bad cook, the end product may be too salty or too pepperish for those who don't eat pepper. Are you getting me? So I think he has to pay attention to leadership, those he has put in power. And then another thing I feel he should pay attention to is somebody asked me a question. Said, what would have been the difference between this president and this president? I said, if this was president or this is not president or that was not president. The truth of the issue is that the difference is that the cost of managing themselves is alarming. The cost of managing themselves. Are you aware that there is a suit? I was in Turkey recently for a meeting, and I went to a shop to check for a suit, and I saw some good suit, and they told me that the suit is going to cost me 520 USD. Calculating it in Nigeria is almost 800 to 1 million. And there are people, now that same my body, I'm good. I can wear it if I can afford it. But that same body, I can also wear what I wear, and it will be less than 100 or 120,000. So now the cost of managing me should be checked so we have enough to manage the dying populations of our country. Another thing they must do is this one, they are constructing roads. I like it. Beautiful. But the dying, the poorest of the poor does not drive cars. The road will affect market, yes. They should go back and check. Government gluttonic nature demanding for more money. We are not seeing them use like we think. They should stop it so they can control the market.
Yes.
When custom duty
Okay.
is regulated, is give custom duty the poor man's approach. Like for example, okay, we as a government, we will not collect too much, so you don't collect too much because it affects the market.
Now, with all of these things you've said so far, do you think the federal government has really done enough to mitigate the fuel hike effect on Nigerians? How would you
No,
rate them? They
no,
haven't
no,
done
no,
enough.
no, they've not done enough. They've not done enough.
Why do you say that?
They've not done enough. Leaving this market to the so-called international forces. The market is regulated by the international whatever. I feel is not the best. Fine, we had no option because we had to depend on them. Now we have an option. That's why I'm pained that you are telling me that Dangote coming up on board is going to be same status quo remains. No, sir. I'm not excited about it. And they've made promises that Port Harcourt refinery was going to work. When, if these things work, they will now become like what we get, will now become a local content. They say our problem is exportation. We export everything. And now we will not do without exporting this finished product. I'm an engineer by profession, and I can tell you that, or by study, I can tell you categorically that there are so many diversion, many things, components in crude oil that Nigeria will benefit from. So many.
Now, with all of these things you said so far, what do you think the federal government should do, in all of this?
And number one, if federal government now let's assume, okay, I heard the article is talking that increasing VAT is going to increase the pain of the people. I'm not a politician in that direction, but I can tell you that most times when Buhari was there, Buhari will tell you that Nigeria is suffering because people like him have not taken power. He took power 8 years and we are in trouble. Here we are. So at times when men have not got in there, they can talk. But I think, but what he said makes sense. Because if VAT, you are not affecting the hoteler, you are not affecting the businessman. Government needs to know that it's going to be price hike, which is going to be on the consumer, which is the poor people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. The increasing VAT, what are you looking for?
I really want to thank you for coming to the studio today. I have been speaking to Dr. Okay, so that's all. You've heard it all. It's up to the federal government to do the needful, and the citizen ensure that you do the right thing, and you just because pretty too shall pass. Here with us in Lagos. My name is Nuolua Steven.